A couple of weeks out from the biggest trade of the NBA offseason, and now we know exactly why it happened. This is the real reason Karl Anthony Towns got traded, and it's not because of Anthony Edwards. In case you've been living under a rock for the last few weeks, the Knicks finally got their superstar, sort of. Over the last, 5 decades, they've been trying and mostly failing to get one of the all-caps guys in the NBA. Embiid? No. Giannis? No. Mitchell? No. They lucked into Jalen Brunson, and they built the Nova Knicks around their superstar point guard, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo. And, oh yeah, Julius Randle, the guy who is supposed to be an all-star but consistently fails Brunson and the Knicks when it matters most. They were also missing a center after the Hartenstein loss and the Mitchell Robinson injury. But hey, the Nova Knicks! Well, the Knicks handled all of their problems with one move. They got Karl Anthony Towns in a trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves for Randle and DiVincenzo. So yeah, it's a bummer that the Nova Knicks are broken up, and we'll get to why the connection that the four of them had is actually underrated. But this was a tremendous move for the Knicks. Like, championship hierarchy altering move. For the Timberwolves, not so much. The trade seriously came out of nowhere. Even Cat was shook. But there was probably a bigger story there. The Knicks likely thought that they had more time to mull over offers. They knew they needed a center, a second star, and a taker for Julius Randle. They just did not want to get rid of DiVincenzo. Now this is all conjecture, but we're guessing that a team, probably the Pelicans, made the Timberwolves an offer they couldn't refuse for Cat. Then the Timberwolves hopped on the phone, Billy Bean style, and called up the Knicks asking if they were sure DiVincenzo was untouchable. The Knicks were forced to say yes on the fly. But why Cat? And why break up the Nova Knicks? In last year's playoffs, Jalen Brunson was forced to put heavy minutes on his fairly small frame. Undersized point guards are already at a physical disadvantage. You cannot put heavy minutes on them if you want a deep playoff run. But the Knicks were made up of 3 guys who had battled together in their formative years. And it may sound cheesy, but that stuff matters. These guys grew up together, won titles together, and with that comes a secondhand language, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So they probably weren't thrilled to break up the Nova Knicks, more so than just because of marketing purposes. But they needed a second scorer, and the playoffs proved that. But what about Julius Randle? Oh, you mean the guy who can't shoot threes? The guy who shoots 34% for his playoff career? The guy who is rarely healthy these days? What about him? We'll break down why Randle might be a problem for Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves in a second, because the positives with Cat are too important. First off, the 3-point threat. 40% from deep for his career. Need we say more? That allows Brunson to not have to average 28 points a game, opening him up to be more of a traditional point guard. We can already see the pick and pop working to perfection. He averaged 12 boards a game in his pre-Gobert days, and there's no reason to think he won't do the same with this small front line. He's not a great defender, but he tries hard. He's athletic and long, but he also has the worst basketball IQ of any good player since the sport was invented. But will Tibbs fix that issue? If you've been following along the last couple of years, you know that might be a tough sell, because Tom Thibodeau, defensive-minded coach of the Knicks, had already coached Cat all the way back in 2017 through 2019. Remember in 2018 when Jimmy Butler took the bench players, demolished the starters, and told everyone they weren't trying hard enough? That was pointed directly at Cat. Towns had had a reputation for being lazy and not caring about wins, not even to mention his low IQ. But in the last 2 years, that has changed. For one reason, Anthony Edwards. Ant has brought out the best in Cat, almost like a big brother that's younger than him, which doesn't really bode well for Cat's prospects as a team leader, but it does mean that, just maybe, Cat has grown up a little bit.
Hey, keep going, playing defense. Defense gonna win us this game tonight, all right? Defense on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Maybe that means Tibbs will bring out the best in him, just like Ant did last year. And he better, because New York is an unforgiving sports town. It didn't take long for New Yorkers to tell Cat not to bring his usual soft behavior to their city. Seriously, is there a worse place to suck than New York? Even when the team is irrelevant, they are no less than the third most talked about franchise in the NBA, despite the fact that you guys haven't won anything in 50 years. Sorry, but it's true. As soon as Cat barrels to the hoop and gets a dumb offensive foul in a big moment, you just know the boos are gonna rain down. Can he take that and thrive, or will he wilt under pressure? So maybe Cat choked under the New York lights, maybe Tibbs fails to bring out the best in him and he softens up, maybe none of this works out. But seriously, how is any of that actually a downgrade? Even if Cat is their third scoring option, basically a spacer, even if he doesn't improve defensively, even if he wilts in big moments, this trade is still an upgrade. The DiVincenzo loss is big, sure, but there's a reason one guy is a sixth man and one guy is a at least borderline star. And there's a reason the Knicks wanted out of the Julius Randle business, and the Wolves are about to find that out the hard way. Before we get to why the T-Wolves made this trade, you've got to understand why the Knicks wanted to move on so badly. Julius Randle might be a perfectly nice guy, and he's a very good player who has improved so much of his game since joining the league. That being said, he's an undersized power forward who is too small to defend the rim, too slow to defend forwards, can't shoot threes at all, has the worst body language of anybody in the league, and always falls apart in the postseason. Add in the fact that the team played better when he was out last season, and it all adds up. Now, to be fair, he shot 41% from three in 2021, the year he won Most Improved Player, so you know he has it in him. And some dudes just wear their emotions on their faces, so maybe the body language aspect is overblown. But what about the fact that he shoots 34% in the playoffs, averaging 17 points a game? Now, it's not like Cat has great playoff runs under his belt, but if Julius isn't scoring, Julius isn't affecting the game at all. Cat tries hard on defense, which Randle doesn't, and can, theoretically at least, protect the rim when he's not committing dumb fouls. Randle can do none of that, so why trade for him? It's actually so simple, we can't believe more people aren't talking about it. Julius Randle has a sick contract. $29 million this year, $31 million player option in 2026. Odds are he doesn't take that. Cat is locked in for 3 years plus a player option at $49, $53, $57, and $61 million. That is a lot. Especially with Gobert's contract and an Antoine surely coming. They needed to clear up some cap space. They knew they wouldn't win a title with Cat and Gobert, so why waste time when you have a generational talent like Anthony Edwards? But the thing is, what is their next move? Sure, the DiVincenzo piece is nice. He can basically fit into any system, and the Wolves needed buckets in the playoffs last year. This frees up space for Naz Reid to get more minutes, and there is always the chance that Randle is actually a great second banana. But Gobert still struggles in the playoffs, and Ant doesn't have a true, definite second superstar. Teams don't win with one all-star ever. So where do they go from here? Is this a gap year? Both Randle and Gobert have 1 year plus an option that Gobert will definitely take. That means they are at least 2 years from a complete overhaul. So the question is, why now? Why not run it back? They choked in the Western Finals, which is totally fine, by the way, when your best player is in year 4. Their best move would have been to hang on to Cat, their only real trade piece that they were fine moving on from, until somebody worth getting became available. This is a pretty head-scratching move from the T-Wolves. So where does it leave them next year? We predicted this already, but the New York Knicks are going to be the #1 seed in the East. Yes, the Celtics are better, but they are officially in nothing matters till April mode. They can coast and get to 55 wins. The Knicks will scrap for 58, because that's what they do, as long as Cat gets with the program. They might make some noise in the playoffs, but they're probably not title bound unless Cat makes a huge leap. Either way, they have a better chance at a title now than they did before the trade. And isn't that why you make moves? As for the T-Wolves, they might actually exceed last year's win total. Their defense will suffer with Randle instead of Cat, but we will see way fewer annoying fouls. But the reason they'll take a step forward has nothing to do with the trade. It has everything to do with Anthony Edwards. He is going to make a leap. The type of leap we only see once or twice in a generation. He'll become the type of player who can win 50 games regardless of who's around him. That being said, the Timberwolves might have cost themselves a shot at an early title next year by focusing too much on the future. But in the end, will it matter for Ant's legacy? Do you think the Knicks won this trade or the Wolves? Let us know in the comments and watch one of these videos next. Listen to The Wrong Opinion, useless NBA trivia, and garbage rankings for more NBA content.